What's going on, guys? This is our weekly solo player's guide to the Nightfall. This is the Hunter variant, so if you need a Warlock or a Titan, look in the description box below. We also do a Challenge of Elders guide. That's going to be in the description box below as well, so if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit subscribe, because why look anywhere else for some awesome guides? Also, we do this every single Tuesday and Wednesday. So there's always that to look forward to at reset. So anyways, let's go ahead and look at our modifiers, and then we'll go ahead and look at our setup, what we're using, what subclass, the perks, all of that stuff, and then we'll go ahead and hit the guide. Alright, modifiers this week are heavily shielded and highly aggressive numbers. Enemies appear in great numbers. Specialist, special weapon damage is favored, but that takes away from your primary and heavy ammo damage output, so just be aware of that. Juggler, no ammo drops for equipped weapon. Grounded, players take more damage while airborne. And Chaff, player radar is disabled, so don't jump. And be very aware of your surroundings. If you got headphones, go ahead and put those in. You'll have to... It does get annoying, Chaff, because you do have to look around for certain enemies at certain spots so you can get through certain areas, but we'll get into that in a minute. As far as setup goes, we're using the Burning Eye just because it's a scout rifle and it has explosive rounds. But you do want a high impact scout, which of course I don't have on here, but something like Hand of Judgment is really good. You can get that from Challenge of Elders. You know, something with as much impact as possible, pretty much. Then we start off with a shotgun, Void shotgun. Let me be more specific about that. There are a lot of Minotaurs with shields. You want Void special weapons, period. But I would definitely say Matador because it's got the range. This was two-shotting most major Minotaurs. Maybe something like Unraveling Mind if it comes in Void. I don't know. I've only ever gotten the one. And then later on we switch to a Void Devil's Dawn because at the boss fight you're going to want a sniper, and you're also going to want it Void because there are more Minotaurs in there. And then we start off with the Nightmare Rocket Launcher. We use that because it's Void and it's got grenades and horseshoes. And then we switch over to the Void Dark Drinker because you'll see. As far as setup goes, I like Shade Step. It gets me out of the way quickly. That's really why I use it. Keen Scout really isn't going to do much for you. I did not notice it does sprint and sneak faster. That's interesting. But you definitely want Lockdown. Grenade and smoke effects last twice as long, allowing strong territory control. So if you have to go invis, you'll be invisible twice as long, and your grenades will also last twice as long. So that's awesome. I'm rocking invis smokes, but if you're pretty confident in your skills, you can try Envenomed. Definitely run Bloodbound. You'll see why. Not just in the middle section, but also the boss fight. It's this particular Nightfall is exactly why I love Bloodbound. And then I'm rocking Spike Grenade, but if you're better with one of the other ones, go ahead and rock that. It's really what player's choice. Alright, so in this first section, right off the bat, what I like to do is go ahead and take out this one Hobgoblin that you can see almost immediately after you get up here. And then focus on the goblins that are going to be swarming you. It's just the easiest way to go, in my opinion. You definitely want to use a scout rifle, like I said in the going over the setup. If you're not using a sniper rifle in this section, which I highly don't recommend, just for this part and the next part. But there's also going to be a bunch of goblins. I think it's just the 2 hobgoblins to start off with, and then 3 or 4 Minotaurs. Those can be easily taken down with a rocket or a Matador, as long as it's Void. The Void Matador usually takes them down in one shot. I'm 400 light doing this, so it could be a little bit different if you're too much lower than 400. Maybe if you're in the 380s, it might be 2 shots. I'm not quite sure about that. But once you kill these guys, it's going to be a first wave, which is going to be majorly goblins and hobgoblins. And then there's going to be a major Hydra that spawns in the far back. You don't really have to worry about him at all. Quite yet, anyways. We'll go ahead and take these guys down. See, one shot. Beautiful. Go ahead and take these guys, and then that's that first wave spawning in. It should just be goblins and hobgoblins. There will be a bunch of them. Go ahead and take them all out. Second wave is going to be goblins, hobgoblins, and minotaurs, which I think there's 3 or 4 minotaurs, so look out for them. And then with the last wave, there's going to be hydras, maybe some goblins. I don't think so, but there's definitely hydras and harpies. So pretty much for that last wave, you're definitely going to want to stay up here. I would recommend staying up here, period, just because it gives you a whole lot more cover. You have the high ground, which means it also gives you an advantageous positioning. So, you know, always use the high ground. You know what they say. But anyways, go ahead and you can do damage to him as often as you can. Talking about the major Hydra. Just take out these guys. I would wait until the majority of these guys are dead. Shouldn't be any more Minotaurs in that wave. Nope. Be very careful. I like to back up because these guys will be hurting a lot. So just be very careful with them. And yeah, back up as needed. But I'm gonna go ahead and let this bit, I'm gonna speed this bit up just so we get on to the next section. So you guys don't have to worry about a 40-minute long video, because I'm pretty sure that's how long it took me to finish this. It is extremely time consuming. I did not get the sunrise bounty again, which is a little bit frustrating. I like to show you guys that just because it's a little more extra for you guys to see. But yeah, let's go ahead and speed this up. Now that we're here, there's going to be about 3 or 4 goblins right off the bat, and then 2 minotaurs. Go ahead and take them out. You can kind of, what's the word? The bait. You can go ahead and bait these minotaurs into coming to you and your shotgun. Bam! Now if you have precision bonus on your shotgun, that's going to be great as well, just because you'll be getting, you have a pretty decent chance at getting 1 extra round of ammo in your reserves with each kill, which is with Juggler is always really nice. So if you have one with that, that's perfect. But if not, no worries. Just make sure you get plenty of kills with your primary and heavy weapon, and hopefully you get some special ammo. Once you go up here, there's going to be some hobgoblins and goblins. They will actually despawn if you get up far enough. So if you want to skip them, you can. Trust me, you'll get plenty of points in this section right here, which we're going to go ahead and edit. Alright, so in this section, there's going to be a bunch of ads. There is just a disgusting amount of ads here. Primarily, they're all going to be more or less majors. They all have yellow health. What I like to do is throw a little spike grenade there. That's why I'm using it. But also, make sure you're keeping your shotgun at this point, because there are a lot of these minotaurs. And as you can see, shotgun is just the best way to run, in my opinion, at least in this section. But go ahead and take out all of the ads if you can, and then you're going to want to focus on the, I think it's called Cyclops in the back. That's a pain in the nightfall modifier in this section will not go away until that Cyclops is dead. So definitely, as you get openings, go ahead and do damage to him. That's the only thing about using a shotgun here, is you're getting a whole lot less damage input. But to be honest, I think a shotgun is a whole lot more is a lot better as far as dealing with these ads. It's more advantageous. That's the word I was looking for. Let's see, we died again. We'll go ahead and just rock damage out on him as much as possible. And then just back out. If you have to, I like to run down about halfway down the stairs. Yes, that takes time to get back up as well, but you will definitely not die, because they will only follow you to about halfway. Once you get down there, you're kind of like, oh, I guess he's leaving. And they kind of leave you alone. So definitely go ahead and do that. There's a bunch of waves, it seemed like, even after the damn Cyclops is dead, which takes forever to kill this way, unfortunately. This is the longest section of this strike, hands down. But go ahead and do that. And once you kill the Cyclops, there's more waves after that, like I said. There's going to be, it's just pretty much assumed there's going to be hobgoblins, goblins, and minotaurs in all waves, and there's a bunch of them. I can't even begin to tell you how many or how many waves. It just feels like they're constantly incoming. So just be very careful with that. If you're dealing with these guys, they do flinch fairly easily, especially if you got something with explosive rounds. So go ahead and, like, maybe Fatebringer. If you've got a Burning Eye Scout, that's also great. Or, well, you don't really want to use Fatebringer here just because of having to do damage to the Cyclops from so far away. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and speed this up so you guys can see what I do, how I do, when I do, and it won't be an hour-long video. So, talk to you guys in the next section. Alright, so once you get to this section, go ahead and just skip over the ads completely. Be very careful, go invis if you have to, but just skip them. You don't need them. They will despawn in a minute. Go ahead and just worry about these guys. Now, with specialists involved, this gets a little annoying to deal with, so I like to throw a grenade down there, get rid of a lot of them, and then personally go ahead and just clear out the rest of your rockets if that's what you're using, because as you can see, they just don't go down and they just keep coming and coming and coming. And then there's also going to be 2 Minotaurs, so if you actually want to save at least 2 rockets for your Minotaurs, or you can use your shotgun. But then what you want to do after all they get killed is run all the way back here and then switch to a sniper immediately. That way you have the most damage. And why you're sitting here is because the boss, the Undying Mind, will actually not shoot at you until he starts moving forward. Once he moves forward, get the heck out of here. Because that's when all the damage is going to be incoming. Usually the ads don't shoot at you either, so you don't normally have to worry about them. But they do in this run. I think it's because I threw the grenade. I'm not 100% sure. You can see they're shooting at me. Not doing a whole lot of damage, but I get out of there just to be safe. But there is going to be 3 waves of enemies. So what I like to do is kind of stay on the opposite end of the boss. So if he's on the far back side, I'm over here by these stairs usually, and we kind of meet in the middle. I like to stick to the far right of this room just because there's so much more cover for you to hide behind. And as you can see, I get weak quite often in this fight. I take a lot of damage. So just be careful of that. This is actually where I switched to my sword. You'll see why when we get there. I'll speed it up. But once you get about half health, your first wave is going to spawn right in front of where I'm standing at right now. It's going to be 1 major hobgoblin, and then he's going to be surrounded by a bunch of major goblins. If you shoot your Bloodbound tether, which is why I highly recommend you use Bloodbound, at least in this section, and then rip out your sword. If you do the spinning attack, you will actually get the majority, if not all of them, dead in one swing. You might have to clean up 1 or 2, but to be honest, that is it. It works really quick, really easy, and you can get the hell out of there before the boss really starts noticing where you're at and taking damage. So, and then you also have to, they also spawn on this side where you see me running towards just then, on the far left. You don't have to worry about them too awful bad, but I do like to come back here and clean them up anyways, just because some of them will shoot at you and you don't want to be having to worry about that. So definitely save your super for those 2 specific enemy spawns. The one in between of the 2 teleport spawns is going to be from that, I don't know what you call it, the Stargate thing in the middle where he's sitting at right now. There's going to be like a bunch of goblins, a couple hobgoblins, and like 3 or 4 Minotaurs. With the Minotaurs, honestly, just use your sword, because it's going to get hectic when those guys start coming around, and this guy is moving all over the place, and he's shooting at you, and they're shooting at you. It can be a little bit overwhelming. I'm not even gonna try and make it sound easy. It was not easy to do this. So this is usually one of my favorite strikes, but I think with specialists it just kind of sucks. I would prefer even solar damage, to be honest. Actually, maybe take that back. Not solar damage. But you get what I'm saying. It's rough just dealing with the boss by itself, let alone waves of enemies coming in at you. But once that middle wave starts, I like to just come back here. Hopefully the boss isn't around, because they do have to peek around all these different like pillars. Here's what I was talking about with the sword. I don't do it right that time, but as you can see, it didn't take too much ammo. It took 5 swings and then 1 super swing, and they were all dead, thanks to Bloodbound. And so I'll show you where these guys are at, and then we'll keep on talking, keep it on. You always want to be doing damage to the Undying Mind while it's safe to. There's where those guys spawn in. And then pretty much the third and final wave is going to be in the same spot as these guys that just spawned in here. Only difference is there's going to be hobgoblins. There's going to be a couple of hobgoblins, and the middle guy is going to be a minotaur on the right side. There's about, I believe there's 2 minotaurs on the left side, 2 or 3 minotaurs there, and then a bunch of goblins surrounding him on the right side. So just be very careful. That's where you definitely want to use your sword. That's why I saved that box for that after this first wave. So be very careful with your heavy ammo at this point. And then once you kill all those guys, you're free to kill the boss. So that's gonna do it for this video. I'm gonna speed this up so you guys can still see what I'm talking about, because I probably messed up explaining this a little bit. I know how I talk. Trust me. I know. I know. But yeah, stay tuned for rewards at the end. Like I said, look in the description box below for all of the links to the other Nightfall guides, as well as the Challenge of Elder guides. And stay tuned for the end for the reward, and I will talk to you guys later.